Hi, welcome to yet another video on Python. And in this video, we're going to talk about data types. So hi, this is Manu from Climatex Data Labs. And today we're going to talk about data types. And there are two ways to look at the data types in Python. In method one, we can classify data types as numeric, set, dictionary, boolean, and sequence. And the numeric can be further classified as integer, float, and complex. And the sequential data types can be classified as list, tuple, and strings. So what these are, we will cover these in more videos. But for the time being, we can understand that data types can be classified as the following. Another way to classify the data types under method 2 is to classify them as mutable and immutable. Now, mutable, as the name suggests, means something that can change, and immutable means something that cannot change. So, under mutable, we have lists, sets, and dictionary, which means these can be, or the composition of these can be changed during the uh, execution of the program. And immutable, like tuples, strings, and numbers, mean the construct of these cannot be changed during the execution of program. We'll talk more about these concepts later on. Okay, so here we have uh, some data types and some examples with that. So in Python, the data types need not to be defined because Python is a dynamically typed language. So to understand what it means, let's try to run this code. So if I say x is 1 in this case and y is a and z is 1.23, and if we try to figure out what are the data types by using this command type. So type is basically used to figure out the data type of a variable. So these three variables, if I try to figure out and print their types, so you will see if I run these lines of code, so x is an integer, y is string, and z is float. Float because it's a decimal. So you see, even though we nowhere define what data type x, y, z are going to be, by assigning the variable and by running the code, Python automatically assigns a data type to the variable based on the underlying data. So that's the property of Python. So that's why we don't need to define the data type in Python. But in some cases, we might need to define the data types manually in the code, and then we use the following functions: int, str, and float to convert a data type to the respective type. So for example, if I have x is equal to, so for example, if I have x is equal to 1.234, which is a decimal number and hence float, so if I run this code, so you will see that x, or let me just, so let's say we have x is 1.234, which is a float, and if I say y is equal to int x, and if I run this code, so what happens is the x is obviously a float, and y converts the x into integer, so y is hence an integer, and obviously the value is 1 from 1.234 because it is converted to an integer. Likewise, if I have an 1 2 3 4, which in this case I have intentionally made a string, so and if I say b is equal to int of a, so it converts a into integer and assigns it to b. So if I run this, you see a is string but b becomes an integer. I wanted to take a division of a by 2, right? So if I run this, it will say you cannot divide a string with a number 2, right? So if I, instead of a, if I now do b, because b is an integer, so obviously it will give me the division of this, which is this much, right? So at times you might have some variables which are string and need to be converted to integer, and vice versa. Then we have this m is 1 2 3 4, which is an integer, and if I convert it to a float, so it converts it, n becomes a float, which is m converted to a float, and it adds a 0 at the end, basically dot 0. Um, And then finally, if we have a number p1234 and if we convert it to string using the str command, so you see p and q, integer and string, and this again can be handy. For example, if I want to print this number, this is a number, and then I want to concatenate it or add p to it. So if I run this, this part is a string and this is an integer, so you cannot concatenate or join together a string with a number. So if I run this, this is going to give me an error, right? So I get an error here. But now if I, instead of p, if I use q, which is conversion of p into a string, and if I run using q, so then and this is a number 1234, right? So this works. So so in short, int, float and str are used to manually define a data type if not already defined. And finally, if you want to check the data type of the other data types, if I have this list, my list, and if I try to print the data type of this, so it will give me class list, because the data type in this case is a list data type. This is a collection, right? It's a sequence. Similarly, if I have a dictionary like this, and then if I say data type of this dictionary, so it will give me class dict. And finally, if I have a tuple like this, I'll have a data type as tuple. Do note the brackets for tuple, dictionary and list, which we'll cover in the next few videos. But this is how we can explore the data types in Python. So that's all in the data types in Python. There is another data type which is datetime, which we will cover in a separate video. And if you like our video, then do like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you soon in next video. Thank you.